Hi everybody, this is Kristine and I am here today with a quick and easy project for you that I think is very useful for any time you might not be feeling too crafty or be in a creative slump. I hope you will follow along and give this a shot using your favorite Graphic 45 collection or scraps left over from a previous project. This project is a smaller scale project that can be used later on a different project. I find that whenever I'm not feeling very crafty or I'm just not sure what I want to make, starting out with something small is much more manageable. Now I'm using the Graphic 45 Deck the Halls collection here, but you can use any collection to do this. I've taken several of my ephemera pieces. I've backed them on some metallic gold cardstock just to help them to stand out. I've used my patterns and solids paper and I am just arranging them on the front of a paper. It's just a cardstock piece. It's meant to be for the front of a card, but you can do this on any size. I've chosen this card size just because it can be used for a Christmas card, a scrapbooking layout, or anything else, but I've done this in smaller sizes as well, and it's actually even easier to do in smaller sizes because, again, it's not quite as large. The key behind the embellishment clusters is just to add different layers of interest to your project. I did use my Graphic 45 flower dies, just using the leaf pieces, again in metallic gold, to give it a little bit of an accent, but also to add a bit of dimension. I also used foam tape on some of my pieces just to add some additional dimension, but if you wanted to keep your embellishment clusters flat, especially if you are wanting to mail your cards, then you don't need to add the different layers. You can just make sure that everything is adhered down flat. Now on my embellishment clusters, I am going to be adding some little crystal gems, just a couple of them to add a little bit of sparkle to my card. Oftentimes I will use stickles instead of gems so that it's not quite as bulky, but on these I did decide to use my gems just because I'm not going to be mailing these on cards, so it's okay to have a little bit of extra bulk. The second cluster is very similar to the first in that I'm using a background paper, some of my ephemera pieces. I did add some of my metallic gold cardstock in there to accent some of my pieces, but I also used one of the pieces that I fussy cut from one of the papers. I'm just going to arrange my pieces on my background, again layering it up until I like the look of it. Then I will be adding my little crystal gems to finish this piece off, just like the first one. For my third embellishment cluster, I have chosen my favorite background paper from the collection with those beautiful poinsettia images. I've also decided to use one of the journaling cards that I did back with some gold cardstock so that it does pop out of that paper a little bit easier. Now I wanted to add some dimension, so I chose the stocking piece from the ephemera assortment, and I'm going to be using some foam squares, and I'm going to be placing it right on top of that journal card over that ornament piece, just to give it extra layers. Then, just like the other two clusters, I'm using my Graphic 45 metal dies and some metallic gold cardstock to create those leaves, adding layers behind my pieces. Now I did forget to put those pieces down before I put the stocking on, so I had to pull up the stocking a little bit just to be able to put these pieces on. I could have clipped the gold metallic piece, but I chose just to lift up on that little stocking piece with the foam square and add it underneath, and that worked out just fine. I'll continue to layer my pieces, and then I'll add my crystals to finish this one off. Once you have your embellishment clusters finished, you can use them for a variety of projects, including a card front or the front of a mini album or traveler's notebook like I have here, or even for making a scrapbook layout using 1, 2, 3, or even more if you've created multiple embellishment clusters. I hope you have found this video to be useful, especially if you are in a creative slump. And if you have other tips, techniques, or tricks that you like to use, please feel free to leave a comment. We would love to know what you do anytime you're not feeling particularly crafty or not sure what to do with your papers. If you do give this tutorial a try, we would love to see what you create with your embellishment clusters, so please feel free to share them on social media.